Alright, have a good one. There's some scary people out there. I'm going back inside now. Hey everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight to see us. My name is Christian Sears, like the religion, the dinosaur, and the store. My parents decided a cheap marketing ploy would work for their name. Again, thank you all for being here. It's really great to have a pretty decent crowd. This is my first time doing stand-up, which is exciting. Yeah, woo, yeah. So yeah, pop in the stand-up cherry. Hopefully it won't be too short or unsatisfying. Hopefully not too much blood. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so that's about my act. No, so yeah, with stand-up, you know, it's interesting. I haven't really done this before. I just thought, like, I might be decent at this. And you know what the really talented stand-up guys do is just the way they go throughout the world. They see things, they view everything with this lens of humor. They share it with you and make kind of boring things sound funny. But every once in a while, God or Vishnu or Buddha or Charles Darwin or whoever you believe in kind of gives you a freebie, you know, throws you a bone. And that's what happened recently. I was going home from the gym with my buddy Jack, because bros lift weights, yeah. Recent studies show that if you pick up metal shit, it builds muscle. So we were on our way, he was going to drop me off, and we're coming up this pretty busy street, 21st South. I mean, it's like 2 lanes each direction, there's like pretty high-speed traffic, and we're just going along, minding our own business, when all of a sudden, see, I've adapted the standard chill stance, he's adapted the don't give no fucks driving stance. We're going along like that, and I'm like, holy shit, Jack, there's a chicken! Boom! I just truck that motherfucker. He's just gone. And like, I tell Jack like a half a second before collision, and Jack like slows down just enough. He just pumps the brakes just enough so the death is like prolonged a little bit. You can really feel just like boom, boom. You know, it's not just like gone. It's like a little prolonged. And we, you know, we're like, oh my god. So we turn off on some side street. We look at each other for a second. We're like, should we feel bad about this? We just hit a chicken. It was crazy. I mean, this stupid bird just, you know, and then boom, gone. We like to think that maybe he was like a really shitty chicken, like he was coming home drunk after achieving his life and was gonna, you know, kick the dog on his way in or something. But, you know, I mean, maybe he was coming back from the homeless shelter. We'll never know. We'll never know. But he is very dead. We went back to investigate the scene of the crime, and there was nothing but just feathers. That was it. Just for like a solid like 30 yards, just a lot of feathers. And like, we didn't find anything else, so we thought there was like explosion on impact or something. We thought there might be like 2 smoking chicken legs and like a mushroom cloud or something. Like, we just didn't know what the hell happened to this chicken carcass, and we were very perturbed. We were like, maybe we should call those alien shows from the History Channel. We're like, guess what? Our dead chicken got abducted. Yeah, interesting stuff. So, not very far away from the chicken incident is where I grew up. It's great to be back in my hometown during this tour. I'm just kidding. I wish. But yeah, growing up here, you know, it's not too bad. Sometimes Salt Lake can be a little quiet, sometimes a little boring, but you know, you're raised with good values, maybe. I don't know. But it just gets interesting when you have a Mormon upbringing like I did. Now, I personally am not, you know, all about that church life no more. But my parents were kind of Mormon, and they raised me, you know, kind of don't date till you're 16, and you know, keep your filthy hands away from everything, and stuff kind of like that. I mean, they're good parents, but they did kind of have a pretty strong idea about, you know, no sex before marriage and stuff. And so in my senior year of high school, I decided it was time to be a little bit rebellious. I've been getting good grades and, you know, just listening in class and being boring as shit. And, I mean, and I was bothered because, like, all my friends were starting to, you know, like, get girlfriends and stuff like that, and that was not happening for me. And I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to be a bit of a rebellious douchebag, which, by the way, is totally true. Like, you gotta be a nice guy, but, like, with a little asshole seasoning on top, you know, for flavor. And so I was in my senior year, I kind of started, you know, wandering from the straight and narrow path a little bit, and my dad kind of got the sense that I was, you know, coming home a little too late, like, what's up with this kid? So he starts, he looked through my phone. Oh, fuck, that was bad. So he saw all my texts, and for those of you who haven't recently come into contact with any 17-year-old males, they're kind of like a subhuman species. They only have like really nasty things to say to each other, just like, shit, fuck, I want to get laid, tits, ah! You know, like, you're just overflowing with this, like, you know, really compressed, like, sexual angst, whatever. And so, like, okay, here's a specific I remember, and this is something my dad read. I was out in the parking lot, just kind of chatting it up with this girl, kind of flirting with her, and I was like, just getting in my car on the way home. My buddy walks by, I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, oh, hey, and he texts me later, he's like, so stupid, he's like, we'll call the girl Catherine. He's like, dude, you getting a casual HJ from Catherine before you go home? What the fuck, no. But, of course, I had to respond, yeah, dude, totally, you know, and so he responds to that, like, oh, just don't forget the lotion. Like I said, subhuman species, not capable of complex interaction. Anyway, so, so my dad reads, you know, shit like that, and this is what turned out to be hilarious. He thought it was all 100% serious. He did not know I was joking around. He thought my dick was in half of Salt Lake City every weekend. It was really funny. I mean, at the time it was terrifying, because here's what happened. So he looked through my phone. He's like, son, we're gonna go have a talk. I was like, I'm gonna go grab a bulletproof jacket and run. You know, because, like, what dumbass wouldn't? And yeah, so he, like, sits me down at this restaurant. He's like, son, I need to ask you a question. Are you a virgin? I mean, unfortunately, that whole, like, put my face on a girl's face thing, that was still unsuccessful. I hadn't even got that far. And I'm being asked if I'm, you know, doing who the hell knows what on the weekend. And so then, you know, he also looked through and he saw some conversations I had with a buddy who I didn't ask for permission to share his name in this joke, so we'll call him Saint Francis. And Saint Francis and I were hanging out with these girls on the weekend, and, you know, we were like, hey, let's watch some scary movies because then they might cuddle with us. Yeah, and, you know, it worked, you know, and, like, back then, as, like, poor as we were with girls, or at least me, like, if I managed to get her to lean on me a bit during a scary movie, it was... So I was pretty stoked, and and so my dad had been reading through a conversation we had, and again we were making these stupid fucking jokes, just like, let's get laid in your basement, do blowjob under the cover, yeah. You know, just retarded stuff. And he reads this and thinks it's serious, and I was like, Dad, like, do you actually think we were having, like, orgies in St. Francis' basement? Like, do you really think that's what was going on? And he's like, how should I know? Common sense, motherfucker. Like, you know, he thinks I'm having, like, these Wolf of Wall Street style, like, we got hookers, just, oh, like, what? You know, but, I mean, it's just kind of funny looking back on it. So, yeah, that was one of the more interesting incidents growing up. And then, since then, I've come up to the University of Utah. I'm taking classes that I kind of maybe like a little bit. And one of my classes that's a little more interesting is a internship for Congressman Stewart. Congressman Stewart he's a moderate right by Utah definition, which nationwide means just short of fascist. Yeah. But I like him. Like, he has some pretty good ideas, and, like, I don't mind working for him, even though I am, by the national standard, I'm, like, moderate left. So that in Utah makes me a communist. Like, got, you know, Lenin tattooed here, Stalin here, say my nightly prayers to Karl Marx, like, all that, you know. And so it's a little interesting working in an office that's fairly conservative. And I get some really hilarious phone calls that are part of my job. There was someone who called me up and they said, and I quote, "You need to fire Obama and bury the Clintons." Whoa, you have some issues. I'm sorry that your cable TV is down, but like, come on now. So I was like, okay. What else was I gonna say? This was like my third call, by the way, working there. And so I was like, my boss's name's Jordan. I was like, I didn't know what I was dealing with. Turned out this is like run of the mill. So I was like, okay, we'll take that into consideration. Thank you for your call. And just like hung up. But I just thought that was really funny. Bury the Clintons. Well, no thanks. I don't need murder on my resume. And then fire Obama. What kind of power does he think a 19-year-old intern for a junior congressman holds? Like, does he think this is some House of Cards episode where I've like been sleeping with like the Speaker of the House and stuff? Like, listen, my boy, Boner, or Boehner, sorry, that's his name. Listen, Speaker Boner, if you bring the charges against Obama, I'll let you sleep with me tonight. Like, maybe that's what they think is going on, but no. That's not what's happening. I just think it's funny, what am I gonna do? Like, Barack? Yeah, it's me. Times are tough, dude. We gotta make some cuts. We're letting you go. No, it's not a race thing, dude. We gotta let you go, man. It's hilarious what these people think I can do as an intern. And then, the internship can be a little tough because office policy is that Fox News is always playing right next to me. Exactly. Pretty bad. And so, right, with Fox News playing, it's like anger just constantly, into my ear. And I turn it down as much as I can get away with and whatnot. But, if you look at it with the lens of black humor, it suddenly becomes a little better. The shows themselves are pretty ridiculous. It would appear we have a fairly liberal crowd tonight, so I'll just go ahead and say that basically, this will be a good summary of an afternoon of Fox News. Don't let the brown people in this country. They will take your jobs, they will turn your children gay, they are afraid. It's crazy. But what's worse, actually, is the commercials. Now, Fox News, the whole channel is geared towards scaring old people. And if you don't trust me because your political views are different, at least look at the commercials, okay? Whoa. There's this commercial for Lifeline Health Alert. Now, Lifeline provides a fairly good service to people who need it. It provides this necklace with this gray button, you press it, and the ambulance, maybe fire truck, maybe police, I don't know, maybe the whole fucking federal government just descends on you. I don't know what happens, but you press the button, and if you're an elderly individual and in trouble, you're gonna be all right, you pressed your magic button. But here's how they feel like they have to sell this shit, all right? This is what the commercial goes like. Cameraman, by the way, this is my camera. He's walking in the house, and you see kind of the surroundings of a fairly typical looking American home. He walks in and he looks down some hallway. You start to hear some noises. It's and it sounds like a kitten is being suffocated or something. And it continues a little further. The camera, and you're wondering what the hell is going on. Then the camera turns this angle and it looks down the stairs, and there's all of a sudden the noises go from kitten to human, and it's this grandma lying there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm falling and I can't get up." And it's call 1-800 fuck you in the ass to order Lifeline Alert today. And then at the very end, it shows their slogan. Now, the slogan for this company, Okay, let's just think about this for a second. So the slogan or the motto or whatever for your product, it's the punchline, right? It's the zinger, it's the hook, it's what you say when you're kind of capping things off. It's the drop the mic line, right? It's not have it your way. It's not Subway Eat Fresh. It's not I'm loving it. It's help I've fallen and I can't get up. That's the slogan for this company, guys. That is really fucked up. And the commercial in general is just strange, kind of funny to me, because what it reminds me of actually is those nature shows where there's some guy's like, all right, I'm out here in the African savannah. I've run out of food and water. I'm starting to drink my own piss. You know, like, I bit an antelope in the neck, but he got away. And you know that all the cameramen are right there, and are like, yeah, we got a lot of food and water, and like, it's really chill. And they're like, but keep going, this is great material. It's kind of like that, but for this grandma, and like, it's like, all right, we're in the classic American home, I'm going in. It's always important to keep a barometer about you when you're in the classic American home. Oh, fuck, I've fallen and I can't get up. This is great footage. So that's one of the more sinister commercials you see. Yeah, we're still talking about my internship, by the way. There's one other commercial I'll mention. Even if they do occasionally decide they're bored with scaring old people, they're still like giving you these really messed up messages. One of which is in a Doritos commercial. And so here's what happens. A dad is walking in his house, he's walking in some hallway, then he looks into his little daughter's room. She's adorable and having this cute little tea party, and you know, she's like, Daddy, 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 have a tea party with me. He's like, no, sorry, gonna go hang with the bros, watch the game, peace. You were a mistake, you know, like walks away. Then it's like, okay, it kind of does this instant replay thing, and dad walks by, Daddy, 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 have a tea party with me. He, you know, no, fuck you. But then she's like, Doritos? And then it shows, all of a sudden it cuts to, like, the dad's homies are looking in the door, and the dad is like dressed up in this cute little princess skirt and like hanging with his daughter, right? But what's the message? Wow. Daddy issues? Doritos! Doesn't seem like the healthy solution. Yeah, so Fox News is slowly crumbling my sanity, but it's okay. They also, you know, they report what's all the major stuff going on, and one thing that's been bothering me lately is all this international aggression. You know, they're like, oh, you know, ISIS beheaded 8 new people today and like had them as birthday cakes or whatever, and then it's also, this is kind of more recent history, but it's this whole situation in the Ukraine. Now, to catch up anyone who isn't real current on their current events, what's going on is Vladimir Putin, president of the United Russian Federation, is vigorously penetrating the Ukraine with his imperial cock and ejaculating Russian soldiers into Kiev and the rest of Ukraine. And it's no good, it's no good. He's not playing nice, guys. He's not playing nice. And this is a problem because this year, for no good reason, I just got really interested with the Russian language. And I was like, I'm going to take Russian 1010. I want to go on a study abroad there one day. But how am I supposed to go on a study abroad when Putin is acting like a royal asshole? I don't know. But even if I could go on the study abroad, there are some hesitations kind of built into my mind. Because Americans have some pretty negative stereotypes of Russians. And so my image of what a study abroad would be like is a little tainted. And it goes something like this. So the airplane touches down in Moscow or St. Petersburg or whatever. We're assuming I'm not flying Malaysian Airlines and that we did in fact make it. Too soon. Too bad. So yeah, we're not Malaysian. We've made it to the airport. We get out, you know, there's like a giant statue of Lenin or whatever, and we like hop on the polar bears that are our ride, and you know, there's like some, like, I kind of imagine like a Russian, you know, tour guide type dude, and he's like, hello, welcome to Russia. And we, you know, hop on the polar bears and we start going, and there's like Arctic wolves chasing us, and he's like, don't worry, like, there's no problem. This is like kind of what goes on in my head. And I kind of picture like one of those ornate, the Kremlin in Red Square. I kind of imagine it like popping up like it's on a lever or something, and like a missile comes out with a polar bear riding it, wearing like some aviator glasses, and you know. And so, okay, all right, let's assume we make it to the house as well of wherever we're staying, and get to the host family. We come in, you know, and I imagine like the door opens like it's in some scary movie, like a haunted house, you know, like there's no one there. It's just like, what's going on? Come in the house, drop your bags. Hello, is anybody home? Hello. My name is Mikhail. Don't touch me, actually. You're a Christian. Yeah, that's me. Здравствуйте. Don't speak Russian to me. I don't want to hear it. Your Russian is gross. Thanks, asshole. Why do you have me here if you don't want to hear me speaking Russian? Like, I'm here to learn, especially from you guys. Government chick. It's very nice. Fair enough, fair enough. All right, well, would you mind showing me to my room? It's been a long flight. Like, can I, rest? Da. But first, there are 4 rules we need to cover. Rule number 1, my daughter, my angel, my everything, Natasha. Don't touch her. Okay, that's very understandable. I'll keep my distance. Cool. Rule number 2, hand in hand with last rule. Your filthy capitalist dick stays in your pants except for the bathroom. Okay, I don't want that shit flying out like stuff. Okay, cool, thanks. Rule number 3, I have thought of loophole. Natasha cannot go in bathroom. Your capitalist dick can't be out. Okay, rule number 4. Fuck you. It's a rule. And that's kind of what I imagine it being like, because I have all these negative stereotypes in my head. Yeah, so that's been, one thing on the news that's been bothering me lately. Yes, we're still talking about the news. And another thing in the news was this whole Scottish vote for independence thing. And I watched okay, so for those of you who don't know, Scotland had the chance to vote to break from Great Britain, and they voted no. And then I was also recently asked by someone like, Christian, what would you do if you had a time machine? All right, here's my idea. We take a current Scottish politician back to the time of William Wallace, aka Braveheart. For those of you who don't know, William Wallace led a bunch of people to fight for country and all that stuff, and they died trying to get the English, who were acting kind of like Putin's Russians, out. Okay, great. So here's kind of how I figure the conversation will go. We get the 2 Scots lined up, they're probably like getting ready to have some huge battle. I'm like, hey, William, get over here. All right, and he comes over, I'm like, William, I'd like you to meet McKinley, I don't know, whatever. McKinley, William, he's a Scottish politician, you're a Scottish freedom fighter, go. Brigadoon, you're from the future, are ya? Aye, I am. It's a pleasure to meet you, brother. Likewise. Alright, I gotta go kick some English arse, but real quick, tell me how's the future? It's pretty great. Alright, how's Scotland? Did we win our independence? Funny thing about that. No. What the bloody fuck are you talking about? Why didn't we win our independence? Why am I out here dying? Well, I'm not dying. Those guys, they're dying. Well, financial security, primarily. It turned out, being with Great Britain, made our wallets a lot fatter. Fat as my mother. That's very disrespectful. And you can't just go trading my land's independence for money like it's some cheap whore on the streets of London. Actually, we can for a really good price. And that's how I picture the conversation going. I just think that'd kind of be hilarious. To finish up here, I was recently asked a question kind of in line with the whole time machine thing, where someone said, Christian, what would you do if you had a superpower? I was like, bitch, I'd fly. That'd be amazing. And then, the question got passed through this circle, and someone else said teleportation, and I was like, okay. Now, I thought flying was a good idea, but breaking out the props for this one. But maybe this teleportation thing has some advantages. See, I'm still not far removed from the 17-year-old male, all right? That sick, twisted psyche is still there, all right? Just teeming with horniness. And so this is what came to my mind. At the University of Utah, there are a disgusting amount of people enrolled in general chemistry classes. They're probably going to start needing to hold those classes in Ricycle Stadium, and they'll have like a sports announcer being like, the electron's going for it, he's going down the field towards a proton, or whatever. And what I'm thinking is if I had the power of teleportation, I could go to one of these giant auditoriums. I'm not an idiot. I would wear a ski mask so I could get away with this. And no one would recognize me. You know it's going somewhere good. And how do I put this politely? I don't. I would start watching porn and teleport around the classroom. In this giant auditorium room, there'd be like the kid who's kind of off by his own, you know, he's like been looking at this girl, he wants to get the confidence to start talking to her and whatnot, and I just pop next to him. And he thinks he's like schizophrenic or something, you know, he's like, did anyone else? Oh my god! And you know, he thinks he's going crazy, but then, no. I'm gonna get the whole class with this one. I mean, my next destination might as well be right up by the professor, right? He's just up there, like, all right, and with the charge gets, and I just for like a half a second right next to the professor, okay, and then I shoot over towards the exits, and people are like, what? Oh, he's over there now. Oh my god! Like, where'd he go? And then all of a sudden, this is gonna be the best part. And then I land myself on like a group of like the 3 cutest girls in the class, and just like. And just teleport somewhere else. And so I think that's what I would do if I could have any superpower. Thanks for listening to me and my disgusting rant. And have a good night.